Thank you, everybody, for joining. On behalf of ViacomCBS Veterans Network, we're so excited to bring on board the VME leader, Karen Kraft. She created a great program for us. It's very inspiring, so we're happy that you're here to join us to write letters for our military and veteran community. So take it away, Karen.
Thank you so much, Betty, and thank you for all your support of Veterans in Media Entertainment and the veteran community. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Veterans in Media and Entertainment, or VME, is a group of over 4,500 veterans, mostly aspiring. Today, we have some amazing people that I'm very proud to introduce. But before I introduce you to these two Coast Guard people, they're going to talk a little bit about what I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to meet some Coast Guard folks. We have a captain on a ship that goes to the North and South Pole. And then after 25 minutes with him, we're going to join our friends who are at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. One of them who has a day off, who's active duty, and is going to share their story of the mission and how they accomplish it in a day and stay focused. So those are our guests today. So allow me to just really quickly share a moment in the life of my Coast Guard friends. This is the Polar Star, right, Bill?
It is.
This is the ship you're in right now. Calling in. I want all our guests here to imagine what it's like to be up in the North or South Pole icebreaker.
The ice we're breaking there is 8 or 9 feet thick.
Wow. And that is like a driveway in Buffalo or Rochester, New York. Kidding. Wow, it's incredible. Pretty impressive, right, everyone? It's amazing to be actually see what the man who's in charge of that ship. But right before, this is another teaser. If you ever want a great story from our friends stand by. From our friends at the Coast Guard, I'm going to have the commander, Steve. Steve, can you really quickly introduce yourself and then introduce Bill for me?
Of course. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for having us back, and good afternoon, everybody. My name's Commander Steve Bude, and I am currently assigned to the Coast Guard's Motion Picture and Television Liaison Office in Hollywood to assist entertainment productions with the portrayal of the Coast Guard. That's what I do. I'm here to help, whether it's just technical information, script assistance, or if you want to put a ship or a helicopter in your project. That's what our office is here to do. I've got 3 liaisons, and we love showing off our service in all forms of entertainment productions.
Now let's introduce our fearless captain, William Wojtyra. Tell us where you're at, and then let's just jump in your origin story. Let everybody know really quickly a little bit of how you became the captain of that magnificent ship we just saw some video about.
Yeah, I'm a Coast Guard Academy graduate. After going to high school and growing up in Rochester, New York, I went to the Coast Guard Academy and studied electrical engineering. And my very first assignment at 20 years old was serving on this very ship. I reported to Seattle, and we left 2 months later to go to Antarctica. This fresh-faced young man, seen the world, was now on his way down to the southernmost continent, and walking on the ice, frolicking with the penguins, and really just having the adventure of a lifetime. The ship was built in 1976. It's 399 feet long. We've got a crew of 134 people, young men and women from all over the United States. The vast majority of them, 80% of them, are under age 30, so a very young crew, but all very excited to be here. We leave Seattle, our home port, usually just before Thanksgiving. We're at sea for Thanksgiving. The crew bonds together over this. Because of the annual cycle for our mission, we spend all of our holidays away from friends and away from family. So we really have our own traditions and our own little family bonds and network on board. We'll spend Thanksgiving at sea. We'll usually stop in Hawaii and Australia to pick up the last supplies and food and things that we need. And then we head down to the ice. We'll typically enter the ice around New Year's, maybe the 2nd or 3rd of January. And that starts a solid period of breaking ice, which is one of the most extraordinary experiences that you can imagine. The entire rides up onto the ice and begins to shake and vibrate, and it's loud. It's an incredible experience. But that steel, that hull, being an 1.7 inches thick, is much, much stronger than the ice that we can encounter. The real danger, besides just the toll that takes fatigue-wise on the crew, like constantly being in a 4 or 4.5 or my old boss liked to liken it to driving on the rumble strip on the side of the highway for 18,000 miles.
Wow. And so our goal today is to make sure we get enough letters out for you to surprise your crew with, Bill. And how many are on your crew again? What number do we have?
We've got 134, and that would mean it's a really hard job, and they give up a lot to be here. The time with the penguins and the port calls in Hawaii and Australia are wonderful. Having a chance to hear from folks that understand the sacrifices that they're making would really be appreciated. And on this ship, 45 years old and like breaking down constantly, it's only through the efforts of the crew, their leadership and their Herculean efforts to fix things and make things work to get this mission done and support these important missions.
Thanks, Bill. I mean, I can only imagine the pride it must be to be part of the Polar Star. What an honor to be here. I'm going to show everybody really quickly the letter writing page. We're going to put a link in here and how you can write a letter. Here's what the link will do. These are guest speakers, and we are going to highlight anyone. This is Bill's group right here. You can see this Polar Star with a penguin, perfectly posed. It took like 5 days to get that penguin without the other 499,000 to walk there. I'm kidding. But it's there's that. And what you do is you can click on any one of these, or you can just scroll down to send a digital letter, where you just put in your name, your company name, the title, and an email if you would like a response back. And you just pick whichever one you want. We got the Polar Star, and subject is just thank you. And here's some letter writing tips, okay? And if you prefer to send anything by snail mail, there's an address right here, down here, where you can send everything. This is to Hollywood American Legion Post 43 here in Los Angeles. It's a 90-year-old building. Members like Stan Lee, the creator Spider-Man, who's a member, etc. They are waiting, they have volunteers waiting to receive an email and make sure we get it over to the good captain of the ship before they take off. So, all right, we're gonna move over to our next great guest, Sergeant First Class Chelsea Porterfield, who is a sentinel and leader at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and Ethan Morris, who was a sentinel. And they're gonna share a little bit about what it takes to be working the 26-hour days. That's what it is. I know there's only 24 hours a day, but they've educated me. They work on 26-hour shifts.
United States Army, Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
I think I'm a strong woman. I think I have to be, but I also think I'm a strong leader. And I don't think that there's a standard playbook. I'd like to think that I lead with my heart most of the time, aside from logical decisions, than I do with my brain. To do the right things at the right time, even with no one's looking, and to make sure that you provide a good example for not only female soldiers, but male soldiers, so they know who and what to look up to. Empathy is important. It's not always bred through the lower ranks. Empathy, compassion, the basic leadership attributes that follow suit. Never limit yourself because of somebody else's lack of imagination, and never limit somebody else because of your lack of imagination. If you want to do something, do it.
Go Chelsea. That is such a badass woman. Chelsea came to me through Ethan Morris. Ethan, who is a sentinel himself. There's less than 700 people who've ever had this job that you just saw.
Thank you, Karen, CBS and Viacom for having this wonderful event and having us here. I actually just teared up seeing that. I served at the Tomb from 2005 to 2006, and Chelsea, or Sergeant First Class Porterfield and myself, our brothers and sisters, even though we're served about 15 years apart. But I know that CBS and VME and everybody would love to hear from the Sergeant First Class of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, who's in charge of all of us. And it is my honor to introduce Sergeant First Class Porterfield.
Thank you so much, Ethan. And Chelsea, you got to keep Ethan around. That's a great introduction.
I'm originally from a very small place in the panhandle of Texas. There's more cows than people.
So talk to me a little bit about how you came to the honor guard, and we'll go diving into what does it mean? What is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and what do you do? So you were hand selected to apply for this, correct?
So when you look at the gravity of this, there's only 29 people in the world right now that could guard the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Only 29.
Tell us really quickly what does the tomb represent to you and to your soldiers?
So this mission really is important for me to make sure that the human dynamic for the knowns, which is the sentinels, to the unknowns, and that connection to the American public and the citizen. There's always been, and there always will be, that link from the citizen to the serviceman is that veteran.
And I can understand that. And since there's only 29 of you in the world responsible 365 days a year, right? Rain or shine, you are there doing these 26-hour mega shifts, as Ethan explained, et cetera. How do you keep the men and women? Well, there are more women now, right?
There are. Yep.
I know you don't like to, I don't mean to embarrass you. I know you don't like to make a big thing of it, but everybody, just so you know, that Chelsea was the first woman.
The first woman to be the sergeant of the guard.
Thank you. That's correct. Okay, so the first woman to be the badass in charge. Sorry about that. So I want to hear really quickly, for those who've been here, know what I'm speaking about, who've been there, you can feel the emotion when you're there. You can feel the emotion, and especially the rivers, it gets you.
So first it starts with family, making sure that they share the same space with the mission, because they are invested in their squad and they are invested in the people who serve. It's important to bring the family into the same space, and not one is more important than the other, but they are equally important. Without the family, you don't have the service member. So you have to have both together. And two, everybody in the platoon right now, you have employees and then you have shareholders. Employees show up, they clock in, they do what is only asked of them, and then they go home, and that's it. You get nothing more. This platoon is a shareholder. These are shareholders, not only in the mission, but they're investors in the future generation of what the Tomb Guards will be and what the American public deserves in the next 5 or 10 years. So in relation to employee versus shareholders, this platoon, they're shareholders. They're 100% shareholders. And that goes to Ethan as well. Anybody who is in the badge numbers of 690, all of us Tomb Guards and Sentinels, we're shareholders. And that's the most important part. And that's how I try to inspire the rest of the soldiers, or these soldiers that I am responsible for, to make sure that they still fulfill the investment in their left and right, because they have to invest in their people to make sure that the shareholder stake in the mission is continued. Without the investment, you have no motivation to thrive. You have to be invested. You have to be part of the team. You have to feel like you're part of the team. You have to give a piece of it, but you have to be a shareholder. You can't just be an employee. We have those everywhere. Nobody wants to be an employee. I want a shareholder.
I mean, no truer word said, right? Thank you for sharing that. What it would mean to hear from you, for your soldiers to hear from them, is a letter or anything. How does that help morale?
I think letters to the soldiers to tell them that their perseverance is noted, and it's important to not quit. Perseverance is key, and America sees that. And, maybe a thank you. I try to give them positive reinforcement quite often. But, as a senior NCO, they probably look at me like I'm crazy.
Okay, so I will share with you really quickly what your letter will look like. The name will be swapped out here for an individual, and this is how it will look like. I signed it from Denzel Washington, because why not have it from Denzel? Because he always helps the military.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was very inspiring, Karen. Thank you to you and your team for working so hard. Shout out to Melanie and Tiffany, who's been helping on the back end. Thank you all. Please write letters. Chelsea, you're like our Wonder Woman. And wow, I'm like starstruck here with you. So I want your autograph. Right. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly, betty.diaz@cbs.com. I'll be happy to answer any questions or connect you with Karen. And yes, thank you so much.